Hi, I have a question here on algebraic sentences that you were supposed to change into an equation. First of all, you have a question that says Anne obtained X marks in a test. John obtained 4 more marks than Anne. So we don't know how many marks that Anne has. We know that whatever Anne's mark, John has 4 more than that. The other information we also don't have now is we don't have any clue as to out of how much the test is. But here's a nice thing. We're going to add some more parts to this question in order for us to be able to see what the test was out of and how much each of, let's say, students have got. So we're going to first take part A, we say write on John's mark in terms of X. That is relatively easy. So we'll just have to take whatever N's mark is and 4 more of that. And then when N subtract 7 from her mark, and as a conjunction here, the story still continues. And square the result, her answer is, so this is naturally where one puts an equal sign. Her answer is 1 more than John's mark. Again, the information is getting more detailed, so we can actually start constructing an equation. There is one part though, part C, which says the test was marked out of 10. So now we know the test is out of 10. So we will probably have to know what each student obtained. So let's start with this question. So the first thing that I do is we'll have to acknowledge that N's mark is unknown. We don't know what it is. Therefore, we'll say her mark is X. X, it could be any other letter of the alphabet. It could have been a Y, but we relatively go with X. So that means then that John should be 4 more than X. That is X plus 4. Okay? So that's relatively straightforward. Then the other part that says subtracting 7 from N's mark. So I'm taking them part by part. That is X minus 7. Whatever N's mark is, I subtract 7. But remember I said there was an N part of that question. It says we are supposed to square the result, which means that difference there, we square it. Now, when we square it, I just clean it up a bit. And it becomes, remember that is X minus 7 all squared. That's how one reads that quantity. So it's X minus 7. Basically, it means the same bracket multiplied by itself. Well, when you do your binomial expansion, X times X gives you the X squared. X times negative 7 is negative 7. And negative 7 here times X gives you negative 7. And here's a kicker though, be careful. Minus 7 times minus 7 is positive 49. I put that in red so you don't make that mistake. So all of this cleans up to X squared minus 14x plus 49. So that is that other part of the story. There's still more, but that is one part of the story. The question continues to say that the result is equal to, which means now we have that from our previous. We say that is equal to, now we know that John's mark is X plus 4, but it should be 1 more. You see what I did here in red? I've added that. Of course, these brackets don't mean anything because the signs are all the same, so you can remove them and they clear up and give you X plus 5. So what we are going to do right now is we are going to solve this quadratic equation. But before we do that, all quadratic equations should always be equal to 0. And what we do is we have to get rid of this X on this side by subtracting X from both sides. The same applies with this positive 5. Obviously, we subtract it gives you negative 5. This all clears nicely to X squared minus 15x plus 44 equals to 0. Don't forget, you are dealing with an equation. Now, here's the nice thing, though, about this quadratic equation. The coefficient is 1. Most of the time, it means this type of equation can factorize. But some learners, they go on and then they use the quadratic equation formula or they use completing the square. Well, if something can factorize, please also get used to that. It's very quite Easy, two numbers multiply, give you 44. And if you subtract those numbers, gives you minus 15. Again, the sign is positive, so the two numbers must have identical negative signs. And we know that those numbers is going to be 11. 11 times 4. 11 times 4 is 44, and 11, negative 11, and negative 4 rather. If you add negative 11 and you add negative 4, you're going to end up with negative 15. And if you multiply negative 11 times negative 4, you are definitely going to get positive 44. So this is our equation. So the left-hand side factorizes, which means we can definitely solve this equation. If both of these factors multiply together give you 0, it means to 0. So that means I can say the quantity x minus 11 is equal to 0, or x minus 4 is either equal to 0. So this is going to clean up right and give us two solutions. One solution is x equal to 11, and the other solution is x equals to 4. Well, if the question was saying solve the equation, then this is solved. But they add more story. They say the test is out of 10. So which means we can't consider 11, because remember, n has got x, which is representing either the 4 or 11. So since the test is out of 10, it therefore is not possible for her to get 11 out of 10. That will be more than the test, of course. So n's mark would then be the 4. So n has 4 marks. Remember, John's mark was x plus 4, which is giving you the 8 marks. So this is how you approach this particular question, and make sure that you read the questions in part, rewind the video, and see where it is that I explain things bit by bit, step by step. Thank you for watching. Good night.